future me just dropping in real quick. Yes, I know I filmed this video over a month ago. This is my August wrap up and I'm uploading it in October. Um, I never got around to editing this just due to where I put the footage and all that stuff. And I really wanted to upload it just because I read so many great books in August and I just wanted to share it no matter how late. I know it's super late and I just knew I had to get on this and upload it. But yeah, this is how my month of August went. Enjoy.
Hello everyone. Welcome to Coffee, Love, and Books. I'm Michelle and today I'm doing my August wrap up. Oh yes, I read a lot of books this month, so I'm gonna try to be pretty quick so as not to make this video insanely long. So I'm not gonna go too in-depth as to my thoughts on these books. There's always my Goodreads, which is linked down below. As I write each review, I will link it down there, so if you want to know more of my thoughts on each of these, they'll be there. But this video, I'm just gonna give a summary of my thoughts on each of these books, and it'll be lovely. Alright, so the first book I read this month was kind of a little bit like, it was a novella, and it was Mistborn Secret History by Brandon Sanderson. It was a novella to accompany the Mistborn series, which I just finished, and oh my word. The novella itself contains huge spoilers for the Mistborn trilogy, so I'm not going to go too in-depth about it or at all in this video because I don't want to spoil the Mistborn trilogy or anything like that. So let's just say this book was about the Mistborn trilogy from the eyes of a person who's more behind the scenes in this story. And I happen to really like the character it was from the perspective of, and it was just amazing. I love this book. It felt a little bit far out there, and it was very slow for a lot of it. But if you had read the Mistborn trilogy beforehand, you kind of knew what was already going on because they are happening during the same time, and it made it so exciting and just like really anticipating the ending where I kind of knew what was going to happen. The ending had this very touching scene, and it gave me severe book hangover because I was so sad from the beginning, and then I was super sad from like the end, and it was a whole thing, and I loved it. If you've read the Mistborn trilogy, you will love this book. Or if you like the Mistborn trilogy, I guess. And I totally suggest reading it. I loved it. Alrighty, next one I read was A Walk to Remember, which was my first like romance novel that was not like To All the Boys I Loved Before, and it was so good. This is one of the books I got from my neighbors. I wasn't sure if I would like it, but I loved this book. It was about a guy named Landon who's in his senior year of high school, and he, through a series of events, is pushed together with this girl named Jamie who's extremely conservative and the minister's daughter. She always carries around a Bible and stuff like that. I really like this book. Do not watch the movie if you've seen the movie for Walk to Remember. It is nothing like the book. They changed the characters a lot, and they take out really any good thing about the characters, but I really enjoyed this book. It was a sweet romance. It was a slow burn romance, and it was very realistic how it wasn't like a love at first sight thing and people can know each other for years and never really like each other until they get to know one another on more of a one-to-one basis. These characters got annoyed with one another and they fought, and there is, I'm not gonna spoil the ending. This is a pretty well-known story, so I don't know if spoilers really matter, but towards the end, there was just this really raw and realistic depiction of heartbreak and sadness, and I cried during just one scene in this book. There are some really touching and sweet moments. It's set on the backdrop of a southern town in, I think, North Carolina, which is just such a great, I think it's in the 50s, maybe. I think in 1950s, and it's just such a charming place with and Nicholas Sparks has such a great writing style that it felt totally accessible, like you're really there, and the way he treats his characters in almost a satirical way, it was hilarious, and I laughed out loud so many times. I really enjoyed this book, and it made me interested in reading more of Nicholas Sparks' books, and it was great. I really enjoyed it. Over there? I don't know. The next book, actually, no, hold that thought. The next book I read was The Kiss of Deception from the Remnant Chronicles. And, okay, so I think I'm just going to talk about the whole series now, but that's not the order I read it in. So the Remnant Chronicles are about a girl named Leah who runs away on the day of her wedding to some guy she's never met before. She goes to work at a tavern in this small town and she loves it. Skip to these two guys. One is an assassin and one is the prince she was supposed to marry. And the prince was not old for anything like she thought he would be. Anyway, so the prince and the assassin go and they find her in this tavern, and they all are living, not telling anyone who they are. The assassin is supposed to kill her. The prince just wants to see what's up with this girl, and at first it felt very basic, and I didn't like it very much. It was, a love triangle, duh, of course, YA, and I was just like, that is the one thing in the series that I find kind of unforgivable. So at first, this premise was like really basic. I liked it, but I wasn't like enjoying it that much. I could point out several flaws. I didn't like that it was in first person. That just felt very like unnecessary to me. I didn't feel like the character voice was that strong because we're seeing it from the first person's perspective of three characters, and I didn't see how it was very helpful. It all felt very vague, and I didn't like the love triangle. I felt like Giselia was kind of the typical, not like other girls, super power warrior princess type, and it just about 55% of the way through the book, there's this twist that kind of made everything better. The first book is definitely the one I enjoyed the least, but as we go on in this series, Giselia, who is Leah by the way, she develops so much. She makes so many sacrifices on behalf of her people. She's such a strong female protagonist with all these flaws. Her outspokenness is something I could especially relate to, and how that helped her and hurt her at the same time was amazing. I did not like the love triangle. I didn't like the two hot guys who were from completely different worlds competing for one girl, and that was not a huge fan, but it ended up working and being something I enjoyed. The ending was okay. There were a few very convenient things at the ending, kind of a deus ex machina, but I really did enjoy this series overall. I loved the characters, and the plot as a whole was very good, and it had me hooked. Like, that was the big fantasy series this month. It really, really had me hooked. Alrighty, the next one I finished with, On the Fence. This is a really good book. It was my, I guess, third romance-y book this month. On the Fence is about a girl named Charlie with 3 older brothers and a kind of other brother who is her next door neighbor. This is something I could so relate to, where you know someone so well that they kind of just become your sibling and they're at your house so much that it's basically that. Being just that close to someone who you're not actually even related to. Anyway, Charlie is she gets a ton of speeding tickets and all this stuff, but she's such a good character. She's definitely a tomboy, and I really enjoyed being in this character's head and seeing how she perceived the world and how fun it is for her. Anyway, Turley starts getting into more girly things, and she's scared about what her brothers will think of her, so she hides it from her entire family. This is a friends to lovers romance. It is so, like, I love that romance type friends to lovers, because it just feels very real and slow burning, and you can kind of see it coming, but also you're still guessing. And this book was really nice after reading a lot of fantasy, because it was predictable, but at the same time it had deep emotion. And Charlie, a big part of her character arc was dealing with grief. And one bad thing I can say about this book is the ending felt very all of a sudden. I didn't feel like there was a ton of foreshadowing for it. It could have used a little bit more of foreshadowing. So anyway, I did really enjoy this book, ridiculously so, and I would totally suggest it to anyone who may feel like they don't like the romance genre but would like to give it another go. I really enjoyed this one. It was so good. Also, love interest, wonderful, three-dimensional, has own feelings and own backstory, and it was just overall a great book. My next book that I finished, I guess this is a graphic novel. This is only part 3. I already returned the first 2. Anyway, The Search, Avatar: The Last Airbender. I cannot say anything about this without spoilers. So if you have not watched the show of Avatar: The Last Airbender, skip to timestamp somewhere on the screen. Alrighty, so The Search, we are following Team Avatar as they are searching for Zuko and Azula's searching for Zuko and Azula's mother. Azula is having her own mental breakdown and just going crazy like she was at the end of Avatar, and Zuko is amazing, and all of Team Avatar is doing this. I enjoyed the first 2 a lot more than I enjoyed the last one. There are definitely amazing things about this. I loved getting to see this whole plot play out because it was something I really cared about seeing in the show. I love seeing Zuko and Azula deal separately with this and with their identities. So, alrighty. I'm gonna give a few critiques really quickly. Number 1, I really hated what they did with Katara and Sokka. Katara and Sokka had really a backseat kind of role in this story, which makes sense because it's mainly about Zuko. But I felt like all the character development we had for Katara and Sokka was just gone. Like, I think 90% of Katara's lines in this were, "Oh, sweetie," to Aang, and it was annoying. Katara is better than this. She's not just Aang's love interest. That's not her defining trait. We got that from the show, and now they're just like, yeah, so Katara's just gonna be like this all the time. And Sokka felt very similar, like they just put him back into where he was at the beginning of the show, kind of like the comic relief, and we didn't get any of that amazing character development that we had in season 3. Like, come on! It just felt very forced for those 2 characters, and I would have preferred that they weren't even in this because they didn't really do anything. They deserved better. So those are my critiques. I did overall really enjoy seeing the story and seeing the characters I love. I'm going to keep going with the graphic novels in a very skewed order, but that's just the way it has to be. Plus, I don't mind that much. Yeah, that's basically all I'm going to say about The Search right now. I'll probably do a Goodreads review on that one because I have a lot of other thoughts, but that's it for now. Next, I have Mansfield Park, which I was reading off and on throughout the month via audiobook and also physically reading it. Loving it, but okay. I said a lot about what I feel about this in my TBR, but basically, I'm really enjoying this book. It feels very warm and fuzzy, and I can see big things on the horizon for Fanny, and I'm really excited for that to kick in. I I don't have much else to say about this actually, so I'm just gonna leave it at that and see where it takes me. I'm like at 150 pages in, and I'm excited to finish this book. Next I have The Lies of Locke Lamora, also talked about heavily in my September TBR. I am 136 pages into this book, and I'm getting more connected to it, but I'm taking a break, number one, because I have The Way of Kings that is due at the library on August.
Well, the footage for the end of this video kind of ran away, so I'm just gonna finish this off in editing mode. Thank you so much for watching. If you're wondering what I was talking about with The Lies of Locke Lamora, that was just that The Way of Kings was due and I was taking a break, and you all know, if you've been watching all the stuff since then, how that whole thing played out. So thank you so much for watching this video. It is late for this to be coming out, but I'm so thankful that you took the time to see what I read in August. It's really nice. And I loved the books I read that month, if you couldn't tell, and I'm excited to share it with you. So thanks for watching, and I will see you on Saturday. Bye.